actually make a full-time living reselling. But in today's video, I'm going to look at what you would actually need to do to resell in two very different states, because it is going to depend on where exactly you live. We're going to be looking at New York City versus Alabama, the most expensive place to live and the least expensive place to live. The purpose of this video is to help you be mindful of all of the things that go behind becoming a full-time reseller. It's not just selling items. There's a lot of extra things that go into running a business, lots of extra expenses, and as well as having this full-time income. You no longer have insurance through your employer or paid time off. This is all coming out of your pocket. Your taxes, there's automatically a 15% tax on top of that. I'll link videos up here on how much money I make reselling once you take out expenses, cost of goods, and taxes. So this sheet is linked down below. It only has the one scenario, but you can put in your different numbers in it and figure out what exactly you would need to do to resell. I wanted to look at two different scenarios because as we're following social media and following people on social media and, oh, they did it, I can do it. Well, it kind of depends on where they live and what their cost of living actually is. So I thought this was really interesting and thought you guys would find it interesting as well. For a family of four to live in New York City, this is just some rough Googling. Obviously, I'm not doing research studies on this. I just Googled it and this is what came up. Family of four, New York City came up as the most expensive place to live. In Alabama is the least expensive place to live. So you have roughly double the cost of living, which obviously means you're reselling full-time reselling is going to be significantly different. And then you come down and I took my 2020 margin. So your margin is how much your net compared to your gross. So once you take out your cost of goods, but then also your expenses, are you paying employees? Are you paying for a storage unit, poly mailers, shipping supplies, all of the expenses that it takes to run a business? So on average, I looked up the average margins for small businesses as well as my average margin. As a reseller, our margins do tend to be a little bit higher. Like I said, you guys will be able to, in the link down below, to do this. It is for sale on my website, so you guys can pay for it if you want to give a little back because you like my content or appreciate me setting up the spreadsheet for you, or there is going to be a link down below to make it for free. And then you have to consider taxes. Now, I'm going to tell you guys this is a very, very, very conservative tax because automatically once you work for yourself, you have a self-employment tax, which is like 15.9%. So if you also have a state tax and then a federal tax, this gets very complicated, especially if you have a partner who is working a full-time income and bringing in a salary there. Talk to your CPA here. This is just to show you a scenario. By no means is this tax accounting advice. So that means if you want to live in New York City or if you want to live in Alabama, your gross revenue needs to be over $500,000 to live in New York City or over $300,000 to live in Alabama. That's a lot, and I am nowhere close to that. So I am going to break down exactly how many listings that means for you and how you would actually get to that. Obviously, this would be different for where you live, and you can get this sheet down below. Before we get into what that actually means, how many listings you would need to have to be able to make a full-time living, if you want to learn how to make money reselling, looking at your numbers, strategic decisions that are going to work for everybody because they're based off of your numbers, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to get notified of my weekly content. If you like this video, make sure to share it, give it a like, and share it to other people that you think may like it as well. Tag me, Sarah Styles LLC, on all platforms. All right, so let's get into what this actually means. How many items would you have to sell and how many items would you have to have active to be able to make a living full-time for a family of four living in these states? So monthly sold, we're just gonna go off of eBay's average sale price and eBay's sell-through rates for women clothing. Obviously, you can change these numbers and this would be different depending on your sell-through rates or depending on what categories you sell in. So eBay's average sale price for women's clothing is about $12. So that means I would have to sell 4,066 items a month to be able to live in New York City. I'd have to sell 2,218 a month to be able to live in Alabama. So something that this brings up is there is absolutely no way, I mean, unless you were I don't know how it would happen. You would have to be the most efficient person in the world to be able to source that many items, list that many items, and ship that many items alone. So now you're talking that you're going to have to start having employees, which means that your gross is going to have to go up to cover that. So keep that in mind as well. This is saying that's how many items you need to sell a month. Let's go ahead and look at how many items that means that you would have to have active. eBay sell-through rate for clothing is roughly 5%. You can change this, like I said, this is just going off of eBay's numbers, which means that I would have to have 80,000 active items to live in New York City. And let me tell you something, trying to store 80,000 listings items in New York City, I'm going to tell you your gross revenue is going to have to increase a lot. Storage units in New York City are going to be significantly higher than they're going to be in Alabama. Alabama, that you would still have to have 40,000 active listings to be able to make a full-time living for a family of 4 living in Alabama. If you like this video, YouTube also thinks you'd like this video. I will link more how to make money reselling videos here, and then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notifications.